All right, we're back again. Day 2. Ziggy, 20 minutes.
20 minutes for what?
Bro, 20 minutes. Set a timer for 20 minutes. What's wrong with this, Bob?
20 minutes, time to start.
But yeah, my name is Lambert, by the way. Let's go. Where did I leave off? Everything else was shut up tight. The exception of the Carolina spin. It was 170 feet tall. This I found out later. And turning very slowly. Out in front stood a tightly muscled guy in faded jeans, balding suede boots splotched with grease, and a strap-style t-shirt. He wore a derby hat tilted on his coal black hair. A filterless cigarette was parked behind one ear. He looked like a cartoon carnival barker from an old-time newspaper strip. There was an open toolbox and a big portable radio on an orange crate beside him. The faces were singing, "Stay with me." The guy was bopping to the beat, hands in his back pockets, hips moving side to side. I had a thought, absurd, but perfectly clear. When I grow up, I want to look just like this guy. He pointed to the past. Freddie Dean sent you, right? Freddie Dean sent you, right? Told you everything else was closed, but you could take a ride on the big wheel. Yes, sir. A ride on the spin means you're in. He likes the chosen few to get the aerial view. You're gonna take the job? I think so. He stuck out his hand. I'm Lane Hardy. Welcome aboard, kid. I shook with him. Devin Jones. Pleased to meet you. He started up the incline walk leading to the gently turning ride, grabbed a long lever that looked like a stick shift and edged it back. The wheel came to a slow stop with one of the gaily painted cabins, the image of Howie, the happy hound on each, swaying at the passenger loading dock. Climb aboard, Jonesy. I'm going to send you up where the air is rare and the view is much more than fair. I climbed into the cabin and closed the door. Lane gave it a shake to make sure it was latched. Dropped the safety bar, then returned to his rudimentary controls. Ready for takeoff, Captain? I guess so. Ready for takeoff, Captain? I guess so. Amazement awaits. He gave me a wink and advanced the control stick. The wheel began to turn again, and all at once he was looking up at me. So was the old lady by the fortune-telling booth. Her neck was craned and she was shading her eyes. I waved to her. She didn't wave back. Then I was above everything but the convoluted dips and twists of the thunderball, rising into the chilly early spring air and feeling stupid but true. That I was leaving all my cares and worries down below. JOYLAND wasn't a theme park, which allowed it to have a little bit of everything. There was a secondary roller coaster called the Delirium Shaker and a water slide. Captain Nemo's splash and crash. On the far western side of the park was a special annex with the little ones called the Wiggle Waggle Village. There was also a concert hall where most of the acts, this I also learned later, were either B-list, C&W, or the kind of the kind of rockers who peaked in the 50s or 60s. I remember that Johnny Otis and Big Joe Turner did a show there together. I had to ask Brenda Rafferty, the head accountant, who was also a kind of Dan mother to the Hollywood girls, who they were. Brand thought I was dense. I thought she was old. We were both probably right. Lane Hardy took me all the way to the top and then stopped the wheel. I sat in the swaying car, gripping the safety bar and looking out at a brand new world. To the west was the North Carolina flatland, looking incredibly green to a New England kid who was used to thinking of March as nothing but true spring's cold and muddy precursor. To the east was the ocean, a deep metallic blue until it broke in creamy white pulses on the beach where I would tote my abused heart up and down a few months hence. Directly below me was the good natured jumble of Joyland, the big rides and small ones, the concert hall and concessions, the souvenir shops, and the Happy Hound shuttle, which took customers to the adjacent motels and, of course, the beach. To the north was Heaven's Bay, from high above the park, upstairs, from high above the park, upstairs where the airs were. The town looked like a nestle of children's blocks from which four church steeples rose at the major points of the compass. Eh, eh, compass. The wheel. I'm losing my nose.
This is mad cool, bro.
Yeah. I forgot where I left off. Joyland, big one. Yeah, directly below me was the good-natured jumble of Joyland, the big rides and small ones, the concert hall and concessions, the souvenir shops, and the Happy Hound shuttle, which took customers to the adjacent motels and, of course, the beach. To the north was Heaven's Bay. From up high above the park, upstairs where the air is rare, the town looked like a nestle of children's blocks from which four church steeples rose at the major points of the compass. The wheel began to move again. I came down feeling like a kid in a Rudyard Kipling story, riding on the nose of an elephant. Lane Hardy brought me to a stop, but didn't bother to unlatch the car's door for me. I was, after all, almost an employee. How'd you like it? Great, I said. Yeah, ain't bad for a grammar ride. He reset his derby so he slanted the other way and cast an upraising eye over me. How tall are you? 6'3"? 6'4". Uh-huh. Let's see how you like riding all 6'4" of you on the spin in the middle of July, wearing the furs, singing happy birthday to some spoiled Rhine little snaho with kind candy in one hand and a Medlin Kali cone in the other. Wearing what fur? but he was headed back to his machinery and didn't answer. Maybe he couldn't hear me over his radio, which was now blasting crocodile rock, or maybe he just wanted my future occupation as one of JOYLAND's cadre or cadre of happy hounds to come as a surprise. I had over an hour to kill before meeting with Fred Dean again, so I strolled up Hound Dog way toward a lunch wagon that looked like it was doing a pretty good business. Not everything at Joyland was canon themed, but plenty of stuff was, including this particular eatery, which was spelled Papa Papalicious. Papalicious. I was I was on a ridiculously tight budget for this little job hunting expedition, but I thought I could afford a couple of bucks for a chili dog and a paper cup of French fries. When I reached the palm reading concession, Madame Fortuna planted herself in my path. Except that's not quite right because she was only Fortuna between May 15th and Labor Day. During those 6 weeks, she dressed in long skirts, gauzy, layered blouses, and shawls decorated decorated with various Kabbalistic symbols. Gold hoops hung from her ears, so heavy they dragged the lobes down, and she talked in a thick Romany accent that made her sound like a character from a 1930s fright flick, the kind of featuring mist shrouded castles and howling wolves. During the rest of the year, she was a widow from Brooklyn who collected Hummel figures and liked movies, especially the weepy ass kind where some chick gets cancer and dies beautifully. Today, she was a smartly put together. She was smartly put together in a black pantsuit and low heels. A rose a rose pink scarf around her throat added a touch of color. As Fortuna, she sported masses of wild gray locks, but that was a wig, and still stored under its own glass dome in her little Heavens Bay house. Her actual hair was a cropped cap of dying black. The love story fan from Brooklyn and Fortuna, the seer, only came together in one respect. Both fancied themselves psychic. There is a shadow over you, young man, she announced. That sounds like a dude. I looked down and saw she was absolutely right. I was standing in the shadow of the Carolina spin. We both were. Not that, stupid Nick. Over your future. You will have a hunger. I had a bad one already, but a populicious furlong would soon take care of it. That's very interesting, Miss Rosalind Gold, she said, holding out her hand. But you can call me Rosie. Everyone does. But during the season, she fell into character, which meant she sounded like Bella Lugosi with breasts. During the season, I am Fortuna. I shook with her. If she'd been in costume as well as in character, half a dozen gold bangles would have clattered on her wrist. Very nice to meet you. And trying on the same accent, I'm Devin. She wasn't amused. An Irish name? That's right. Right. The Irish are full of sorrow, and many had the sight. I don't know if you do, but you but you will but you will meet someone who does. Actually, I was full of happiness, along with that surpassing desire to put a populicious pop, preferably loaded with chili, down my throat. This was feeling like a bless me. Thank me. Thank you. What? Huh? Bless me. Never mind, I'm getting distracted. This was feeling like an adventure. I told myself I'd probably feel less that way when I was swabbing out toilets. When I was swabbing out toilets. The accent popping out. When I was popping out toilets. Mm, toilets. Toilet. When I was swiping out toilets at the end of the end of a busy day, or cleaning puke from the seats of the whirly cups. But just then, everything seemed perfect. Are you practicing your act? She drew herself up to her full height, which might have been 5'2". It's no act, my lad, she said. Act for act. She said, act for act. Jews are the most physically sensitive race on earth. This is the thing everyone knows. She dropped the accent. Also, JOYLAND beats hanging out palm mystery shingle on 2nd Avenue. Sorrowful or not, I like you. You give off good vibrations. One of my very favorite Beach Boy songs. But you are on the edge of great sorrow, she posed. But you are on the but you are on the edge of great sorrow. She paused, doing the old emphasis thing, and perhaps danger. Do you see a beautiful woman with dark hair in my future? No, Rosie said. And what came next stopped me dead. She is in your past. Okay. I walked around her in the direction of a populicious, being careful not to touch her. She was a charlatan. I didn't have a single doubt about that. But touching her just then still seemed like a lousy idea. No good. She walked with me. In your future is a little girl and a little boy. The boy has a dog, a happy hound, I bet, probably named Howie. She ignored this latest attempt at levity. The girl wears a red hat and carries a doll. One of these children has a sight. I don't know which. It is hidden from me. It is hidden from me. I hardly heard that. I hardly heard that part of her spire. I was thinking of the previous pronouncement. Yeah, I was thinking of the previous pronouncement, made in a flat Brooklyn accent. I don't have a Brooklyn accent, bruv. She's in your she's in your past. Madame Fortuna got a lot of stuff wrong. I found out, but she did seem to have a genuine psychic touch. And on the day I interviewed for summer at Joyland, she was hitting on all cylinders. I got the job, Mr. Dean. I got the job. Mr. Dean was especially pleased by my Red Cross life saving certificate obtained at the YMCA the summer I turned 16. That was what I called my boredom summer. In the years since, I discovered there's a lot to be said for boredom. I told Mr. Dean when my finals ended and promised him that I'd be at Joyland 2 days later, ready for team assignment training. We shook hands and he welcomed me aboard. I had a moment when I wondered if he was going to encourage me to do the happy hound bark with him or something equivalent. But he just wished me a good day and walked out of the office with me. A little man with sharp eyes and a lit stride. Standing on the little cement block porch of the employment office, listening to the pound of the surf and smelling the damp salt air, I felt excited all over again and hungry for summer to begin. To begin, you're in the amusement business now, young Mr. Jones, my new boss said. Not the carny business, not exactly. Not the way we run things today, but not so far removed from it either. Do you know what that means to be in the amusement business? No, sir, not exactly. His eyes were solemn, but there was a ghost of a grin on his mouth. It means the Rubes have to leave with smiles on their faces. And by the way, if I ever hear you call the customers Rubes, you're going to be out of the door so fast you won't know what hit you. I can say it because I've been in the amusement business since I was old enough to shave. They're rubes, no different from the redneck Okies and Arkies that rubbernecked their way through every carny I worked for after World War II. The people who come to Joyland may wear better clothes and drive Fords and Volkswagen microbuses instead of formal formal pickups, but the place turns them into rubes with their mouths hung open.